Always great catching up with my next guest, the head striking coach at Fight Ready, Mr. Eddie Cha, back here on the program. Eddie, how are you?
Doing good, big game. James, how are you?
Doing great. I haven't heard that name in a while. That's for James Worthy, but I'll take it as well. The big name James, which is a great man. I wanted to start first and obviously talk about the Korean Zombie. He's got that big fight coming up against Max Holloway. I know right now, if I'm not mistaken, he's not in the U.S. What's sort of the outlook for camp as you obviously got the Max Holloway opportunity here?
Tough fight, but it's going to be an exciting fight. Zombie's running his camp in Korea. And we're interacting probably about 2-3 times a week right now. I just spoke with him yesterday. He sends his rounds, and we go back and forth. And yeah, he looks good. He's on track to looking good. August 27th, is it? 26th.
It's coming up here, 26th, I think. But then, you know, with the time change and all that, I'm not sure exactly how it works out. But I got August 26th on my notes here, so I think that's what we're looking at. Was it just a matter of that? You know, obviously you coach so many fighters, it would be kind of tough for you to go over to Korea and work with them right now.
Yeah, we did that before. It was really, really hard to commit for 8 weeks, and there were just so many variables going on this time around. And we spoke. He actually flew down for Cejudo's fight in, was it New York or whatever it was, and so we got to talk a little bit about what we want to do last camp and so forth. And he already gave me the heads up, and I said, whatever you want to do, it's 100% fine with me. I support you either way, and yeah. So I'll be flying out there just the week of the fight just to support him.
Excellent. That's great. Why has he not fought since last year? Was it just he needed time to heal injuries, or why haven't we seen him in so long?
I don't think he's gotten any offers, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think there was a Giga fight that was supposed to happen in Korea. Then the Korea card fell out. And then I don't think we had any single offers.
Okay. No, fair enough. I understand. Obviously, you can't fight unless you get something offered to you as well. It looked like he got a full camp for this one, though, because I feel like this fight was announced a little while ago. So is that accurate? Has he known about this fight for a while?
Yeah, we have. He's been training for a bit now. I think we've known over 2 months, so it's definitely a full camp. So he'll be ready to go. He looks great.
I'm sure you've had a glance at the betting odds, and obviously, you know, a lot of people are, you know, favoring Holloway with. Does that add a little bit of a fire to this matchup just because there aren't a lot of people counting on him to win this fight? I don't know if that's something he's talked to you about.
No, I think, I mean, as far as betting odds, I think you're only as good as your last fight. They're going to go off the Volkanovski fight. He was a 5-1 dog there, and then now he's like a 10 or 11-1 dog. But Zombie doesn't care about that kind of stuff. He doesn't let pressure get to him. He's been in over, I think, 9 main events in a row, 2 title fight defenses, title shots. And so it doesn't matter if he's 10-1 favorite or an underdog. He's still going to go out there and do his thing. But I don't think there's any pressure on him at all. He has everything to win. I think Holloway's ranked number 1 right now, and he has nothing to really lose. And so, and more importantly, this is the fight he wanted. We all wanted an easier fight for him, and as he's kind of going to the tail end of his career. But he's always looked up to Max, and this is the fight he wanted, and you know we all want to see it. So I said, you've earned that right to kind of pick and choose who you want to fight with, and I think Max wanted it too, and so I think it's going to hopefully be a great matchup. 2
big names in the division, and it's a fresh matchup. I'm sure Zombie's at least happy to get that name on his resume at this stage of his career.
Yeah, for sure. He like I said, he's been a huge fan of Max. He's always wanted to fight Max ever since when he's been a champion forever. He just never had the opportunity. So it doesn't matter, title shot or not. Zombie's going in there to fight one of the guys he's always looked forward to.
Tracy Cortez, big fight against a fellow Canadian of mine, Jasmine Jasudavicius. Just how excited are you for that fight with Jasmine really elevating herself in that last fight with that pretty dominant win over Miranda Maverick past the first round anyways?
Yeah. Tracy's one of my favorites to work with. She's unbelievable. Her work ethic, her just mindset is amazing. She's on a big win streak. She went through a couple injuries and surgeries, and this is her first fight back. And Jasmine?
I think it's Jasmine. Yeah, you can call her whatever, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Jasmine, but I could be wrong.
She looked great against Miranda Maverick. She was a 5-1 dog as well.
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, we were really impressed with her performance. We've been studying a lot of film with her, her strengths and weaknesses. But I think this is going to be one of Tracy's breakout fights when it comes to striking and putting everything together as a mixed martial artist. Everyone knows she can wrestle, but I think she's going to surprise a lot of people this fight.
Do you feel like she's the dark horse in this weight class? Because I feel like we haven't seen her fight as much. I know there's been a bunch of stuff, the injuries. There's been, obviously stuff outside the cage as well. But she's, like you mentioned, on a nice win streak. I think people forget just because everyone's so reactionary. It's like, what have you, when was the last time you fought and all that stuff? Do you feel like she could be, you said a breakout performance, but do you feel like she's the dark horse at 125?
It could be. I mean, I don't really pay attention to the rankings and all that stuff. I just focus on one fight at a time for our guys and girls. But make no mistake, she has her eye on the prize of the title. She wants a title shot, and so we're kind of putting together a plan of how many fights is it going to take, how long, where she needs to improve on, and she's doing whatever it takes to win. I'm really excited for that fight.
Well, and I'm sure she's looking at some of the fighters in her division, like Erin Blanchfield, who she has a win over, and Erin's obviously pretty close to a title shot as well. I'm sure that's a bit motivating, just knowing she has a win over her.
Yeah. No, the division is tough. I mean, it's really coming together. Back then, I think it was just Shevchenko, and the rest were kind of like far behind. But the divisions are starting to catch up. It's getting a little bit more competitive. So I think Tracy is right there. So hopefully she just stays on the radar. I'm okay with everybody underestimating it.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe I spoiled things there as well. Jonathan Pearce, what's going on with him? I know he had the fight with Bryce Mitchell. I can't remember if he has a fight booked or not, but what's the latest with him? Because I know he had an injury in the last fight.
Yeah, he had a knee injury. He was supposed to get surgery, but then he opted out. He's recovering well. He's ready to go. Training every day. I just got off the call with him and his manager, and we've been asking for a fight right now. It seems like everybody is booked in that 45 division from 1 to 15. So we're kind of just limboing.
Well, yeah, because everyone's getting matched up too. I know it must be frustrating, but I'm sure he'll get a fight soon. It's just, he had that big opportunity, and it's just timing's everything, right? It kind of sucks for him in that regard.
Yeah, so we're looking to go September, October. He's literally ready to put into camp right now. So he's ready to go.
Okay.
We just dance partner.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then I was going to ask you as well, anyone else UFC-wise that you guys are working with that have fights coming up or people that you're working with right now that I missed? I feel like I went through a lot of fighters there so far.
Who do we have? Well, this Tuesday we have Tracy's brother, Junior Cortez. He's on the Contender Series.
Oh, so cool. Okay.
Yeah. We have John Medeski. He's fighting in Australia.
Oh, John McDessie's working with you guys. I didn't know that. Okay, that's cool. Because he's got, I forget the fight who's his opponent again? I was trying to remember. I should know this, actually.
Jamie Malarkey.
Oh, that's right. Jamie Malarkey, yeah.
Yeah. So he's coming up in Australia. We have Casey Kenny in Contender Series as well.
Okay.
Who else do we have? Hold
on. So you said Casey Kenny? Not the same Casey Kenny.
Oh, no. Not Casey Kenny. Casey... What's his last name? Tanner.
No worries.
Casey Tanner. Yeah,
gotcha.
He's a 6-0 kid. He's fighting the Brazilian, the 13-0 bantamweight. So
okay.
That's a Contender Series coming up.
I was going to say that's got to be exciting for you, getting to train with these fighters that potentially could be in the UFC soon with getting those fights, because I think everyone loves Contender Series, right?
Yeah, it's exciting. Junior's the man. He was on Contender Series before, and he lost to C-Rod. He's come train with us. He is cool as hell too. But Casey's a dark horse too. The kid he's fighting is 13-0, Brazilian. He's a top 5 prospect in the world. But I think people don't know who Casey is. He's been an undefeated amateur, undefeated pro. He's one of me, Henry Cejudo's training partners. The kid is tough. Mm-hmm. I think the world is going to see how good he really is. So I'm excited for his fight as well.
And you mentioned Cejudo. How's recovery going? Unfortunately, what happened with the shoulder against Merab and that, or sorry, not Merab, it was Chito Vera who's supposed to fight. How's I don't know if you talked to him much, but how's Henry doing?
He's good. He's been at the gym pretty much every day, rehabbing it. I believe he got stem cells. I'm not 100% sure, but he's good. He's still driven just for that.
Yeah.
Motivation is not his weakness. I think he'll be in there real soon.
Yeah, I think him and Merab, or maybe we'll see what happens with the title fight coming up here. I actually talked to Sean O'Malley's coach, Tim Welsh. They really want to see a Henry fight at some point. I think, Battle of Arizona, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, Tim's the man. Tim and I talked about it before a lot too, and it's an interesting matchup. It's the striker versus grappler, but I think Henry's not just a grappler anymore. I mean, he's come such a long way, evolving his striking game, kicking game, and everything else. And I love Shrimp to death too. But I'd hate to see him fight, but I would love to see the fight.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean there as well. We have a couple fights coming up, obviously that are really interesting. The one I wanted to ask you about, Coach, is Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira, the rematch. Do you see the fight going any differently? What's your take on that fight?
That's a tough one. Who knows? I mean, the last fight, Oliveira looked like his old self, but I don't know if it goes any other way, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to say, and especially with the champions, like, before they become champion, they're fighting 3 times a year. And then once they become champion, it's like 2 times a year, then 1 time a year. So I'd love to see the champions a little more active, kind of like Volkanovski. That guy wants to fight like 4 times a year,
Yeah.
I would love to see the champions a little bit more active, but it's a great matchup either way. But yeah, I would edge a little bit towards Islam.
Yeah. It's a really good fight. Did you watch UFC 291 last weekend? And if so, what did you think of the main event with Gaethje knocking out Dustin Poirier? That was pretty incredible.
Amazing. I thought it was a great fight. I don't believe that Gaethje never practiced that move.
Right. Yeah, I know. Same here. I thought the same thing.
It's a really, because we rep that a lot too. He hit it on the right guy too, because I thought Justin was going to win the fight. It looked like it was going that way. But if you notice how Justin was continuously rolling and basically using boxing defensive fundamentals, and those things don't work against kickboxing, especially in an open stance, Yeah. It was a great read. It was a great knockout, but it was an unbelievable fight. I mean, hats off to both those guys.
What about the co-main event? Jan Blachowicz, Alex Pereira. Pretty close fight. They ended up giving it to Pereira. Watching it at home, who do you think won the fight? Because it was a very close matchup.
Yeah, I thought Pereira won 2 rounds to 1.
Yeah.
The third round was close, but that's the thing. Sometimes you just don't know what the judges are watching. But if you saw the fight, especially in the third round, Pereira was winning the striking. I mean, it was the circle left, calf kick, body shots with the jab coming up. I definitely thought he had a 10-9 winning on the round, and then he got a takedown. He didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Like, he got the takedown, which I know the judges weigh heavily, but overall in the striking, Pereira outlanded him. I think that's got to count more, because he's actually trying to finish the fight, right?
Yeah, that don't even get me started with the judges thing. But I just wish we just had an understanding of what they were looking for, because if a takedown is worth, say, like if you know what a right kick is worth or a right hand or a jab, if I hit 20 jabs and 2 right hands and you hit, say, 5 of those, but you got a takedown, what does a takedown actually worth, If the takedown is worth so much, then the takedown defense should be worth something. If I stuff 3 takedowns and you get 1, how much is that really worth, So, but yeah, as far as judging, I would definitely give it a 10-9 to Pereira.
Excellent. Couple other things I wanted to ask you about. Obviously, we have Jon Jones and Stipe coming up. What do you make of that fight as Jon looks to successfully defend his heavyweight title? Stipe's been off for a couple of years, but he's considered one of the best heavyweights of all time. Who do you think has the edge in that fight?
I think Jon's the best. He's the best to ever do it. I hope he wins, remains on top, rides off into the sunset. If he wants to continue to do it, great. But yeah, Jon's the man. I have nothing but great things to say about Jon, and I think he's going to kill it.
Yeah, that's great. And we referenced it there, Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley. How do you see that fight playing out? I know, obviously, you're friends with the O'Malley camp, but it's an interesting matchup. Sterling has looked outstanding, as we saw in the fight with Henry. I mean, they both sort of raised their games in that fight.
It's a tough one to pick. I have nothing against Aljo, too. I think that guy's a class act. I think he's a great champion. He's never been nothing but cool to me every time I see him and stuff like that. But it's an interesting match. I mean, even the odds were a little bit closer than I thought. I thought Aljo would be a little bit bigger favorite, but do not count Sean out. Sean has lights out power. I always tell everybody too. Like, I've held for him a few times back in the days, and there's not a lot of guys that can feint and really get me to kind of bite on it, those things too. And Sean can make you jump. Like, his twitchiness of when he starts to feint and move and then go laterally on the cage, like, it's unbelievable. He has power in both hands. He knows how to use his range. He's kind of like in a different style, like Adesanya, where he can go open stance and just really create that range, like his height at that weight class and everything else. So it's the classic striker versus grappler. Who can implement their game plan is going to definitely win that day. But the thing is, like, I think Aljo is going to have to do that every single round. all it takes for a striker to get one good clip, and it can change the game. So Sean's got 25 minutes to do it, and Aljo's got to really maintain to stay focused for 25 minutes. So I don't want to pick a winner, but it's going to be a great fight. I'm looking forward to it.
Last question, Coach. I know you're a busy guy. You getting to enjoy summer at all? I know it's really warm out in Arizona right now. Probably not outside too much, but you getting to enjoy summer at all?
I don't like Arizona. Today is not as bad. It's like 109 right now, but the last 2-3 weeks were 120 degrees out here.
Damn.
Even in the evening, it's 110, 108. Yeah. So it's like just walking into dry sauna. It's terrible. But the gym is AC, my car, my house, so we really just stay indoors. Okay.
For sure. There we go. Hey, Coach, thanks so much for doing this. Always a pleasure. If there's anything you want to mention before we get out of here, anything fight ready related or any fighters you got coming up or anything you want to mention, I'll give you the last word, sir.
No, that's about it. Shout out to everybody. Thank you for your support for all the guys at Fight Ready. And, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.